You've heard of the Economic Advisory Council, but not like this. Not when it's busy deleting a colonial-era statue or making it easier to shut down a company in India faster than Singapore. In today's Point Break, we unpack how a low-key cleanup of forgotten files and stubborn defaults is quietly rewriting India's rulebook. This isn't a Big Bang reform story. It's more like a bureaucratic forensic sweep. Let's get into it. When we talk about reforms in India, we usually imagine headline moves: GST, IBC, Make in India, and now AI missions. But Sanjeev Sanyan, member of the PM's Economic Advisory Council, wants us to zoom in. He calls it process-level reforms, the kind buried deep inside government files, clauses, precedents, and departmental habits that haven't changed since the 60s, some since the British. These aren't the kind of things that make front-page news, but they're exactly what choke entrepreneurship, delay innovation, and quietly cost us decades. I'll get to that right after a roundup of what's happening in the world of AI. Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla is currently aboard the ISS, marking India's return to the space station after 41 years. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Bengaluru's Sat Shah and Hyderabad's Dhruva Space have teamed up to build a full-stack, homegrown Earth observation solution. By combining Kaleido's satellite analytics with Dhruva's satellite platforms and launch infra, the partnership aims to deliver faster, cost-effective, end-to-end space services for both strategic and commercial users. India's space ecosystem is no longer just lifting off, it's scaling up. In an interesting twist from the world of big tech, OpenAI is reportedly scrambling to hold on to its top talent after Meta swooped in and poached at least 8 senior researchers. Chief Research Officer Mark Chen, in a Slack memo, compared the exodus to a break-in. To stop the talent drain, OpenAI says it's recalibrating compensation and looking for new ways to reward top performers. CEO Sam Altman, meanwhile, hinted that Meta's signing bonuses are sky-high, going up to $100 million, a claim Meta insiders reportedly dispute. A major blow for authors and a cautious win for big tech. A US federal judge has ruled in favor of Meta in a lawsuit filed by 13 authors, including comedian and writer Sarah Silverman, who claimed the company trained AI models on their copyrighted books. But here's the twist. The judge didn't say it's all fair game. Judge Vince Chabria said Meta's use of the books in this case falls under fair use, and that the authors simply failed to make the right arguments or show proof that their market was harmed. The judge warned, this decision does not mean all AI training on copyrighted material is legal. Future lawsuits, he said, could land very differently, especially if plaintiffs build stronger evidence on market impact. In fact, last week, Anthropic won a similar case. With 2 tech wins back-to-back, the fair use versus copyright battle over AI is far from settled, but the momentum is clearly shifting. While the world is busy decoding AI black boxes, India is quietly fixing the real ones, the outdated systems and invisible rules that hold everything up. Because not all reforms come with billboards and big launches. Some are about cleaning up the fine print, the kind of legacy baggage that never makes headlines. Let's break it down.
The problem is that because everybody focuses on these big headline reforms, they miss the fact that most of the problems that most people here in the audience, not just in your business, but even in private life, will face is actually rule number 73, subsection E, some clause, 3 words that actually make your life hell. So, I got into this business of looking at reforms of these things. I'm trying to popularize this idea because this is not only to be done at the central government level, you can do it at the state government level, municipal level, you can do it inside your own companies. You know, continuous business process also re-engineering, but government process re-engineering.
Let's start with a statue that no longer exists, but was still being protected. as a national monument. In Delhi's Kashmiri Gate, the British once erected a statue of General John Nicholson. Yes, the same Nicholson who led the sacking of Delhi in 1857. The statue was removed in 1958 and sent back to Northern Ireland. But for over 60 years, the site continued to be classified as a national monument, which meant the same rules that applied to the Taj Mahal applied to an empty patch of land. No construction, no modifications, not even renovations on nearby homes without ASI clearance. According to Sanyal, nobody noticed because nobody bothered to check the list. That's just one out of 3,695 such listings, many irrelevant, many forgotten. He's now leading a cleanup, removing over 120 obsolete monuments and adding 80 new ones that actually matter. All this without passing a single bill. That's just one of thousands of outdated entries protected for decades simply because no one checked. And it's not just statues. India's rulebook is filled with processes designed for a different time, never updated, rarely questioned. Like this one. You want to shut down your company not because it failed, but because your project ended. In India, that used to take over 500 days, sometimes years. You needed NOCs from half a dozen departments in a specific order. And then you'd wait for the registrar of companies to publish your closure notice, unless you grease the system. Sanyal even got hold of the rate card, an unofficial price list for how much it would cost to push it through. Now, a new portal called CPACE automates this. CPACE, short for Center for Processing Accelerated Corporate Exit, is a single window platform launched by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. It does what used to take bribes and endless paperwork: close a company cleanly and transparently. It talks to multiple departments, waits for any objections, and if none come in, you're out. It's reform by design, not by announcement. You upload your details. The system pings departments. If no objections come in within 21 days, it moves to closure. From 500 days to 60, India is now faster than Singapore at shutting down companies. Let that sink in. Launched in mid-2023, CPACE has struck off over 11,855 companies and 3,264 LLPs as of November 15, 2024. These aren't glamorous reforms, no big launches, no social media hashtags. But for a founder trying to wind down a startup or a resident in Old Delhi living under ASI restrictions, these changes are everything. Sanyal calls it attrition warfare. One small rule, one clause, one dusty precedent at a time. And sometimes the biggest resistance doesn't come from activists or politicians, but from industry bodies themselves, who prefer keeping things messy. Mess means moat. Moat means no competition.
Because government by nature is a very large system, and of course you're not just dealing with government, you're dealing with overall society at large, you have to be concerned about the unintended consequences of what you're trying to do. And this is, by the way, one of the issues that DOGE in the US faces already. You do a bunch of reforms, even if you solve the problem in that box, the unintended consequences in the rest of the system can be so large that you have to be much more careful about these things. The political consequences of them can be very large. You may in theory say that what you're doing is right, but there may be a very powerful interest group that will undermine the whole thing. You can sometimes, by the way, get positive unintended consequences as well, which may actually justify you doing something even though you didn't achieve doing it in that box. So, you're dealing with complex, wobbly systems.
We often expect revolutions to be loud, but sometimes they whisper. In an Excel sheet where a colonial statue is finally deleted, in an old grave still protected by a rule no one questioned, this is what reform looks like when it's not trying to impress, just trying to work. That's all we have for this episode of Point Break. I'll be back with more such insights. Until then, stay sharp, stay curious, and think AI, think AIM.